All right, guys, so this is your first video for Focus Area 2, and Focus Area 2 is what we're going to start off with. This whole focus area is about the body and how it moves and the movements that you can do in sporting context, but also in life. We're also going to be looking at things like how we can improve movement efficiency, how can we train for improvement, all that kind of stuff. So this is generally based around the body, its systems, and how the body creates movement for performance, etc. So to start off, we're going to go through some introductory stuff. Now, if you've done PASS in the last couple of years, a lot of this stuff should be just remembering from PASS. If you haven't done PASS before, then you may struggle a little bit at the start of this. And a lot of this is just rote learning, okay? So looking at it over and over and over again until you get it, testing yourself with friends, etc. Okay? So to help me today, I will hopefully be super jazzy with my tech skills, and I'm going to be putting pictures up on this side of the board. So I'm going to be doing my talking and writing here, and hopefully a nice little picture over there to show you what's going on, and that will line up well with what we do in class. So, intro to anatomy and our skeletal system, all right? So the first thing we need to know is something called anatomical position. So anatomical position is the first thing that we need to know. And the easiest way to remember anatomical position is you face forward and your palms face forward. This is anatomical position. This is important because whenever we try and describe anatomical directions or the way things are moving in the body, we need to reference it from anatomical position, okay? And this will make sense in a bit when I start going through our different directions, okay? But this is what you can see me standing in now. Hopefully you can see my palms. This is anatomical position. Now, if you're still trying to get your head around how you would be taking notes for this in your booklet, so this up top is our major heading, so that would go at the top of your page. You would then draw, so this is your page, you're going to draw like this and make a column like this. So anatomical position is sort of a subheading, so it would go here, and then what anatomical position is would go here, and your nice little drawing if you want to do one. And I highly encourage you throughout these videos, regardless of you being bad drawers like me, to try your best with your drawings because it will help you remember these things. So that's anatomical position. Okay, so the next thing we need to know are the planes of the body. So planes, hopefully demonstrated by this beautiful picture, is how the body can be divided, okay? And there are three main ways. You've got your sagittal plane, your coronal plane, and your transverse plane, okay? So sagittal plane, if I'm in anatomical position, there is like, imagine slicing me straight in half, okay? I have a left side and a right side. And for the record, in case you don't know your lefts and rights, this is my left. It'll probably be right on the video, but this is my left and this is my right. Because when I hold my hands out in front and I make little palms like this one makes an L for left and this one doesn't. So it must be the other one. Our coronal plane is our front and back. So this time, imagine I'm standing in anatomical position and you cut me in half this way, okay? So we've got the front half of the body and the back half of the body. And then our third one is our transverse plane. So imagine you sort of cut me here at the hips. So you've got your top half and your bottom half of the body. Fortunately, this stuff usually only comes up in multiple choice or very, very short answer questions. So you need to remember it, but don't think too much about it. But anyway, they're the planes of the body. All right, so our next one we're looking at are our directional or our anatomical terms. Okay, and I'm going to do this in two sections just so I can still fit my nice pretty image there. And now you'll notice these always go in pairs, okay? And usually you will use it in a describing sentence, and I'll give examples of that in a second, okay? So our first pairing here, we've got superior and inferior, okay? If something is superior, it is towards the head, and if something is inferior, it is away from the head. For example, you could say that my nipples are superior to my waist, okay? So my nipples are towards the head more than what I'm describing. Or you could say that my knees are inferior to my nipples. I don't know why I'm using nipples, but okay. So that's superior, inferior, higher, lower. Next set, we've got anterior and posterior. Okay, if something is anterior, it is towards the front of the body. And if something is posterior, it is towards the back of the body. Okay, so you could say something like your chest is anterior to your spine because your chest is in front of your spine towards the back, towards the front of the body. And you could say that your glutes are posterior to your hips. Okay, so your hips are here and your glutes are out the back there. So that is our anterior and posterior. Or if you're standing in anatomical position, okay, so remember we're like this. I can't really fit here, it's a bit jammy. You could say that in anatomical position, your bicep is anterior to your tricep, okay? Because if we're standing palm forward and we face forward, then our biceps are in front and our triceps are at the back. So then we've got medial and lateral. So medial means towards the middle or the midline of the body, and lateral means away from the midline of the body, okay? For example, you could say, you'll notice by the end of this video, you could say that your ulna is medial compared to your radius, okay? So your ulna is on this side of the body, your radius is on this side, and when you stand in anatomical position, your ulna is closer, okay? In a bigger sense, you could say that your chest is medial compared to your shoulders, or in anatomical position, you could also say something like your thumb is lateral to your pinky finger, okay? All examples. So when you are writing these notes, you should be obviously writing everything I write, but hopefully you also wrote down one of those examples I just gave verbally. And if not, rewind the video and make sure you get an example down so that you can understand what these are. We've got 2 more pairings to go through. All right, so our last 2 pairs of our directional anatomical terms are here. So we've got, first of all, we've got proximal and distal, okay? If something is proximal, it's near the attachment to the body, and if something is distal, it's away from the attachment of the body. So when we're using the terms proximal and distal, we're usually talking about something either on our head, arms, or legs, okay? My arm attaches to my body here at the shoulder girdle, and my legs attach to the body here at the hip or pelvic girdle, okay? So when I'm standing in anatomical position, if I could say that my bicep is proximal to my thumb, okay? Because my bicep is closer to the attachment point of the body than my thumb is. I could also say something like my calf is distal to my hamstring, okay? Because on the leg, the calf is further away from the attachment point than my hamstring is. The final pair is superficial and deep, and this time we're talking about skin itself, okay? If something is superficial, it's towards the skin surface, and if something is deep, it is away from the skin surface, and whether you know it or not, you have 3 layers of skin, and epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis, and then as you get through those 3 layers, something becomes less superficial and more deep, okay? So for example, if you just grazed the top of your skin, do I have a scratch somewhere? Probably. Anyway, I don't have perfect skin. Oh, there we go. Blister. Okay. So that is superficial. Okay. So the blister on the edge of my skin is superficial. It has only broken like 1 layer of skin. Whereas if I got a knife and I just like cut into my arm, that would be very deep. It would go through 3 layers of skin and it would possibly go into some blood vessels and or muscles underneath. So that would be deep. The other way that you could use this, if we're not talking about cuts, you could say that the skin is superficial to the bones, because we know that the skin itself is closer to skin surface than bones which are in the skin surface. Or you could say something like the heart is deeper than your ribs, because we know that your ribs encase your heart for protection, so therefore your heart is deeper. And they are our anatomical terms.